Blue, starting things off here in Origins How We Became Human, decided they wanted to get the advantage of domestication as well, especially before they end up clearing into the second era, where it's harder to do that. They can't do the naturalist advantage that way. They'd have to use a card to get domestication advantages. To do so, they succeeded here with the Mouflon sheep, but they got the diseased animal. And that meant they get the extra bonus here in addition to the footprint and animal power. And one thing I forgot about the footprint, it allows you to use camels to travel through the desert, which is a huge, huge bonus. We've seen where the desert was blocking black off, for example. Now, they could have made their way through it anyway from here because they can grow there now. But anyway, Blue then played their card, got a second of these elders. Gives them an eyeball on the top, which gives them some advantages if they're attacked. They can ransack a card, they can steal cards from people who play second era cards, which are huge. So as long as that's on their discard pile, they have a little bit of a bonus there. It may not stay long, but now that somebody's in that second era, white in particular, they can kind of bounce off each other and bonus one another. Perhaps. They may be getting enough bonus off whatever card it is together anyway. However, they got another chaos roll. Now again, this might free up white units, but there aren't any white units. But white units can start to appear now that there's a metropolis there. Of course, white has 0 population growth, so that's not going to happen unless they do the fecundity, which is a silverback action. They can't do that. They can do a baby boom action. That's the best they can do now. Oh well. There's a price to becoming more advanced than your enslavers, right? That ended Blue's turn, so now we're going to keep going. Green's still stuck in the doldrums. They failed in their attempt to domesticate water buffalo. Those things are just too fierce, man. And then they still can't do a population action. They're still in that same stuck position they were in before. So their turn pretty much was a waste. At least they didn't lose their elders or whatever due to chaos. I don't know. I don't think that happens due to chaos. Black then went and they stole a card giving them an elder and clearing their Broca's area, giving them some language ability. And then they did population expansion, and from here they put a piece here, 1, 2, 3, gets them into some plants that they can start cultivating. And from here also, they put a place here, 1, 2. They could have kept going, but this looks like a more general location to be in. Now, starvation check, they're sitting here. They have a footprint of 2. Which means the fact there's a blue piece and a black piece there doesn't hurt them. So they're okay survival-wise. Alright, well, on to the last couple players, Red and our good slaves, the whites. Okay, for Red's turn, they also stole that card, clearing one of their areas. And they had a second action, which they used to grab the horse space. Unfortunately, they ended up just getting a plain old draft animal, and that doesn't even increase this. That did them no good whatsoever, actually, because they are already at maximum for both footprint and energy. They're not going to get the weapon bonus as easily as they had hoped. Maybe they could get it off the elephant, but instead they did a slight spread into up here. They didn't do maximum population growth because putting it another one higher would start to risk their chaos levels. And they'd rather be more conservative. They don't see a big advantage to population growth at this point. Going over to white, they had one action. And they looked and said, one of the things I could do is set myself up so I can do population growth. But if I do that, I can't get anyone. I could grow here and attack black, and we'd both die. And I'd still be enslaved and still have no pieces on the board. So instead they drew a level 2 card, and they got a victory point card with a disaster. The disaster is smallpox, and that hits them first. They in blue both get hit by, both get an advantage off of it. Well, white takes the disadvantage of it, which is the same as the disease from an animal. Takes an elder loss. Goes there. And two fecundity increases. Well, he's going to get that population growth anyway, so you might as well use it, right? And now he gets to afflict someone. And it's his bonus from the explanation of the rules if he afflicts blue. Blue gets hit with this. This now allows venereal disease. Besiegers spread venereal disease. There's also hay, which, if the Ice Age ends, will allow movement and usage of tundra. But what does that do to him? Well, he loses his dude. He gets the fecundity increase, which is only 1 because he doesn't have space for more. And that's it. But they both managed to grow up to being druggies, which is kind of cool. Now we're up to bidding on the Pharaoh card. And unlike last time I played, we have populations that are big enough that people want this. They definitely want it. Black is certainly willing to bid 1 for it. White has no counters, so they're out of the bidding now. So the question is, is anyone else interested in it? And the answer is yeah. Red is interested in it for 1, and they are P, so they beat black. Now comes the question of these other two. And one factor here is, do they have points in it? This guy does, so he's going to bid on it. This guy does, so he'd also bid on it. So either one is interested in it. So it's going to go to A at a bid of 1. Now the question is red willing to bid 2 for it? Red doesn't get an advantage from it other than they don't get a victory point advantage from it, is basically what it comes down to. Getting the Pharaoh will automatically cause an elder to be lost as well, which might be kind of a problem. Odds, they're interested still. They're going to go for that 2 bid. So they pay an elder, which goes here on the innovation track, and they get this card. This card also gives them the ability to do silverback operations, which can further increase the stability roll for that turn, as well as doing some fecundity increases. Probably not something they want to do, but it's of some value. Let's finish up White's turn while I'm here. No possibility of chaos, which kind of makes sense. However, they get a population action. What do they want to do? Do they want to spread VD? They can't because they're not besiegers. All they could do is place a piece here. They're going to kill a black unit along with their own. And that goes into the innovation space for black. Just reduce the population somewhat in their area. Maybe they'll be able to start growing pieces at some point. All right, well, that's the end of this turn. So let's see what happened this turn. Blue entered the second age, and they did this as, how did they do that? Oh, they cleared using this thing, and they should actually have another leader there. They're allowed to have two because of that, and I forgot that they were going to get that. I think they may have had another Dark Age though and lost their turn, which would explain why that was down. Okay. Green finally got themselves into a position of having animals. They got the water buffalo domesticated, but then they had they got an infection off of it too. They had a chaos event as well. Black advanced around and got a chaos event by they advanced also off this same one card. That card, it just spreads around, right? Now they also had a chaos event and lost one of their units there. You're not in bad shape because of it. Red also grabbed the card and took the advance, taking an elder. Should black be down? Yeah, black should be down an elder. They couldn't have two. They couldn't have more than two before the chaos event. Same effect as blue. Red, however, does get the extra elder, and they didn't get a chaos event because they have the pharaoh. So they were saved from that, and they went for an expansion as well, moving into where they might take the tin or maybe some plants down here. And they also moved up here trying to invade Europe. Now we're on white's turn, and white has one action that they can do. They have the energy and the footprint to enter a golden age. The problem is it's not easy for them to get into chaos, and they don't get any real advantage off a golden age. They don't have any cards to flip over or anything like that. So I don't think they want to take an action to do that. I think what they're going to do is see if there's anything they want to steal. They could steal fecundity decreases. They could steal weaponry. They could steal a leader an elder. But there aren't a lot of real great options for them. They're going to draw a level 2 card and see what it does for them. Oops! Okay, it's a biddable. And it has tuberculosis. Tuberculosis, we're already at that limit. So I believe we're immune to tuberculosis. And I think that means nothing happens there. And no one catches it from them. It does open up a biddable though, and I'm not sure that anyone can bid on it who's not in level 2, which is okay because green doesn't have any counters anyway. Yeah, you have to be at that level, that era. So the question is, does anybody want the Hinkelstein Temple Megalith Monument? Looks like Stonehenge. Okay, well, probably, because culture points are valuable. There's some people who particularly want it, though. Well, he's not in the bidding, so he can forget it. This guy particularly wants it. It's worth victory points. He particularly wants it. It's worth victory points. C is going to bid on it, and he's got the highest rank. Nobody's got 2 elders to bid, so he's going to get that. And that's added to his repertoire now. He's built that monument for an elder expenditure. So that means white didn't get much off his card, and he only got one innovation action. He doesn't have a stability roll to make. He does have a population action, but the only thing he can do is place a dude somewhere next to these sheep. He'll do that, attack red, and bone red out of an innovation bonus. Again, there's not much value to this, but at least he's maybe slowing other people down a little bit and trying to take advantage of his own personal advantage. I'm going to load this one up.